Hare Krishna. This morning we are reading from Sri Srimad Bhagavatam. Translation purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Founder-Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We're reading from Canto 7, Chapter 8, entitled The Lord Slays the King of the Demons. Text number 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Hiranyakashipu Uvacha. Vyaktam Tvam Martu Kamoshi. Vyaktam Tvam Martu Kamoshi. Yoti Matram Vikathase. Yoti Matram Vikathase. Mumurshunam hi mandatman. Mumurshunam hi mandatman. Nanusha Viklavajiram. Nanusha Viklavajiram. Sri Hiranyakashipu Uvacha. The blessed Hiranyakashipu said, Vyaktam, evidently, Tvam, you, Matu Kamaha, desires of death. Asi, are, Ja, one who, Ati Matram, without limit, Vikat Hasse, are boasting as if you had conquered your senses, whereas your father could not do so. Mamurashunam, of persons who are about to meet immediate death. He, indeed, Manda Atman, O unintelligent rascal, Nanu, certainly, Shu, become, Viklavaha, confused, Jiraha, the words. Translation. Hiranyakashipu replied, you rascal, you are trying to minimize my value as if you were better than me at controlling the senses. This is over-intelligent. I can therefore understand that you desire to die at my hands, for this kind of nonsensical talk is indulged in by those about to die. Please repeat. Hiranyakashipu replied, you rascal. You are trying to minimize my value. As if you were better than me at controlling the senses. This is over-intelligent. I can therefore understand that you desire to die at my hands. For this kind of nonsensical talk is indulged in by those about to die. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It is said in the Hitopadesha, Upadesho hi mukhanam prakopayana santahe. If good instructions are given to a foolish person, he does not take advantage of them but becomes more and more angry. Prahlad Maharaj's authorized instructions to his father were not accepted by Hiranyakashipu as truth. Instead, Hiranyakashipu became increasingly angry at his great son. who was a pure devotee. This kind of difficulty always exists when a devotee preaches Krishna consciousness to persons like Hiranyakashipu, who are interested in money and women. The word Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu refers to cushions or good bedding. Moreover, a father doesn't like to be instructed by his son, especially if the father is a demon. Prahlad Maharaj's Vaishnav preaching to his demoniac father was indirectly effective, for because of Hiranyakashipu's excessive jealousy of Krishna and his devotee, he was inviting Nrsingadev to kill him very quickly. Thus, he was expediting his being killed by the Lord himself. Although Hiranyakashipu was a demon, he is described here by the added word Shri. Why? The answer is that, fortunately, he had such a great devotee son as Prahlad Maharaj. Thus, although he was a demon, he would attain salvation and return home, back to Godhead. Om Agyanam Tanandasya Gyanam Salakaya Chakshuramitam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutare Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nevishesha Shandavani Prasarasthani. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. Hiranyakashipu replied, "You rascal, you are trying to minimize my value as if you are better than me at controlling the senses. This is over-intelligent. I can therefore understand that you desire to die at my hands. For this kind of nonsensical talk is indulged in by those about to die." Hare Krishna. Here in the 7th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, it is describing the activities of pure, unalloyed devotional service in many different ways that is leading to the. It's already understood that that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the actual goal of life is to love Him, self-realization, or to love Krishna and serve Krishna. So in this narration of Nrsingadev and Hiranyakashipu, that Narada Muni is describing to Yudhishthira Maharaj that I think the first chapter was the Lord is equal to everyone. So he asked, how is this? The Lord is equal to everyone, but we see He kills the demons and protects the devotees. Yes, that is not partiality, that is rule. Right? The Lord, He creates the material world and the rules according to the material world. So, and as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, there's two classes of people here. The divine and the demoniac, the devotees and the demons. They'll always be like that. And Krishna says that to deliver the pious, I protect the devotees and I kill the demons. So that's not impartial. That's a rule. Because we can join whichever party we want. That's up to us. We have our independence, our free will, our free choice. So we can join this party or that party. But this party you get protected, this party you get killed. That's not impartial. That is the Krishna's rule of the material world. Here is given a very wonderful story of Hiranyakashipu. He was such a big demon. There will never be another demon like Hiranyakashipu. You're little, Hiranyakashipu. And as it's mentioned here, if you give a fool good advice, he'll become angry. And this is what Prahlad did in the previous verse. He's equating his father, is indirectly, almost directly calling him a fool. He said, in former times, there were many fools like you who did not conquer the 6 enemies that steal away the wealth of the body, lust, anger, greed, calm, cruel, loath, etc. These fools were very proud, thinking, I have conquered all enemies in 10 directions. But if a person is victorious over the 6 enemies and is equipoised to all living entities, for him there are no enemies. Enemies are merely imagined by one in ignorance. So, this is inviting a little reaction from Hiranyakashipu. He said, why you're minimizing my value? You're saying you're trying to say you're better than me? He was the wrong person to say this to, because Hiranyakashipu was the best controller of senses. Let's face it. Standing on tiptoe, how many? 30,000, 100 years, celestial times, like 30,000 years of standing on tiptoe like that. And they were so controlled that, you know what it's like when a mosquito or a red ant bites you, all our consciousness goes to that point. His body was actually eaten away, and he just tolerated the weather conditions, the insects, and just tolerated it. Who can do that? Actually, he was better than the sages. He was more austere than the sages, than Bhrigu Muni. Lord Brahma will come to see what's going on. He was so austere. Austerities are recommended in the scripture. The result of austerities is that austerity means suffering before you're due to suffering. You take some austerities, and so you don't have to suffer in the future. By performing austerities, you're getting rid of all the bad karma. But you're doing it before it's due. This is the purpose. And also you're going to learn detachment from the bodily demands, etc. So that's the actual purpose. So they're recommended in the scripture, different types of austerities, different types of results, but nothing like this. This was what he did was over the top. It wasn't in the book. You know, it was just we don't come to the material world to suffer, right? We come here to enjoy it. Like Krishna, we come to take his position. So this category of austerity is not written. So he was so powerful. You know, flames were coming from his head. He was just keeping himself alive inside his bones. So the marrow in the bones. That time you could. In the next yuga, you could live on air. The next yuga, you could live on water. And now, in this yuga, we have to have grains to stay alive. But that time, Sati Yuga, every much more subtle. So he was maintaining his life force in his skeleton. That's austere. That's determination. Right? Who can compete with that? So then it was so severe that then the demigods, the material nature, didn't know how to deal with it. There were earthquakes. You know, the earth was trembling. The heat was so hot that even in Swarga it was getting hot. They had to move out. It's so powerful. So then the devas, they went to Lord Brahma. There's something happening down there, very unusual. So then Brahma came. So that's how powerful he was. He was controlling Lord Brahma. He made Brahma come to him and ask, how can I serve you? What do you want? They actually knew what he wanted. The sages, they know past, present, and future. They actually knew his intention, his desire. It wasn't a good desire. He actually wanted Brahma's position. But so immediately then Lord Brahma, to save the situation, then with water from his kamandalu, and he restored his body, had a beautiful body, strong, handsome. And then he said, I'm very satisfied. I don't know if he said that, but something like that. I've come here to grant you your benediction. What do you want? Just, calm down. Clearly, things are not supposed to go like this. So that's how powerful he was. That's how controlled he was. And this little boy, his own son, is saying, fools like you who think they can, are very proud, thinking they can conquer my enemies, control my senses. He was the wrong person to say that, because he was the most controlled person in the universe. He had everyone under his control. All the Devatas were under his control. And all the big Devatas, like Varuna, Indra, they were his personal servants. And when he raised his eyebrows, he would bring some water, do these little odd jobs he would give them to do. And they, out of fear, they had to do it. They were running around him. That's how powerful he was. And he got that benediction. So, but he's a bad guy. He was a nasty person, actually. Don't like Sri Hiranyakashipu. He said, because actually his desire was to make, even on the heavenly planets, be suffering there. Just to show people that, just see, you're in the heavenly planets and you're suffering. Suffering is not allowed in the heavenly planets. You go there to use up your good karma. There's no suffering there. But he wanted to show how powerful he was. He's proud. He wanted to be the controller, and he wanted everyone to know it. But he had a little sadistic nature. He liked to see people afraid, suffering, and look what he tried to do to his own son. He wasn't a very nice person. But he was so powerful that he didn't even need the demigods to get things done. Like, they're in charge of everything, the environment. He liked it as spring, so let it be spring all year. Nice climate, So he was so powerful that the demigods had to oblige out of fear. They're in that position because they're faithful to Lord Vishnu, but he was so powerful that by fear he had them working for him. And even he was so powerful that he didn't need the demigods. He could do it by himself. He could control the environment by himself. And his plan was to rewrite the laws of the universe. Anyone who performs pious activity, you get a bad result. So who's going to perform pious activity? It means all the Brahmins are going to stop their yagas, and nobody's going to perform pious activity if you get a bad result. Then there's no propitiation of Vishnu. He's avowed enemy. He killed my brother, that Vishnu. Very, very angry person. So that's the category of demon that he was. Except for Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, he had everyone in the palm of his hand. So he was the most successful materialist on record that ever lived. Right? Let's give it to him. He was successful. Would you like to be like that? Would you like to have all control? No. Hare Krishna. No, we're all little Hiranyakashipus. You've admitted. We're all little Hiranyakashipus, right? We're always thinking of the future, right? Mainly, even as devotees, we're thinking of the future. I bet everyone here has made arrangements for breakfast, right? That you make arrangements because material nature is intense. It's not an alien environment for the beautiful little pure soul living entity. Not supposed to be here in this aggressive material nature. This is a Durga fortress you put here for being rebellious to Krishna. not being rebellious to Krishna means not being submissive to Krishna's program. And trying to make your own program. If that desire comes, then this is the place for that kind of person. Me and you, mostly. So we have this desire. You're the best amongst the human beings here. You're here in Braj. You're here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. You're the best amongst the exalted human beings. There's a chapter after this section of Prahlad, then it's a chapter about civilized human beings, and there's a really high standard. They know the goal of life is actually self-realization or devotional service. That's their priority, and everything else is secondary, even to the point of eating, sleeping, defending. Right, these things which are forced on us. If we don't do those things, then we're suffering, right? So that's why we know where we're going to take breakfast this morning. It's already planned. Because we know if we don't take breakfast, we get suffer, right? And then the lunch. And we have a place to stay, so we're kind of taken care of. Then we can chant Hare Krishna in Vrindavan. You have to do some service to maintain yourself. But it's not... but for the materialist, this is priority. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That's all it is. That's all they do. There's nothing else. But because it's difficult, because the material energy is oppressive, then you have to work hard to achieve your goals, to get some food, to get some shelter, and enough rest. It's difficult, right? It's difficult. No? Most people, it's a struggle. I mean, we'd rather not do it. If we had an option, we'd rather not do it. So Hiranyakashipu had that option, Krishna has that option in the spiritual world. They have that option, they just think and it happens. They just desire and it happens. But here, we desire, but it doesn't happen. Now we got to work. And the work is troublesome. Because to achieve your objective, there's something separating us, time and space. And time and space in the material world is filled with adhyatmic, adidevic, adibautic, all kinds of things that you're going to meet, that we know we meet. So therefore we have to take precautions all the time. Defending. Most of our life is spent defending. What we actually want out of life, the enjoying part, eating, sleeping, mating, enjoying, eating, sleeping, defending, eating, sleeping, defending, and enjoying. Mating. Mating means enjoyment. The enjoyment is actually very less. Everyone works whole day. Right? You study whole day, you work whole day. You come home in the evening, the day is gone. There's a little bit of time, and then it's not certain what will happen in the evening, whether there's sickness, there's the mosquitoes, there's the hot weather, there's the monkeys, all these things that could possibly happen that we have to address and take care of. So therefore we're preoccupied. This is how Maya has us running covered, bewildered. She's presenting her two faces, attractive feature, yes, you can enjoy, and the fearful feature, you better get away, make some arrangements. So defending and enjoying, these are the two principles that we work on. Hiranyakashipu actually perfected that. He was actually successful materialist. Successful as you can be. As his name mentions, Hiranya is gold. Gold means control, right? If you've got money, you can control. You have a lot of servants, your life is easier. And the Kashipu means self-bed, means sex life, means enjoyment. So that he got the name, that's his title. Yeah, one who's controlling and one who's enjoying. So he was actually successful. And he was big time. We have a little desire for a little bit of enjoyment. He was really big time. But so we're giving big examples in the Srimad Bhagavatam, not little stories, great, huge stories, very exciting stories. But we take the lesson from that. that Hiranyakashipu, he wasn't successful. Then after, he was successful materially for a little while. But then, a little while after Nrsingadeva appeared, he made an aparad against the devotee offended. It was offensive to the Lord, it was offensive to his devotee, and then it was all finished. So, that's the example that Hiranyakashipu ultimately wasn't successful. And what are we compared with Hiranyakashipu? What ability do we have compared with his ability? What can we amass in this lifetime? How much can we join in this lifetime compared with the facility that he has? That's why they're great stories. The kings, demigods, rishis, because they had power, they had influence, they had facility to enjoy. But there's only about 30 people who went back to Godhead in Bhagavatam, I think. So not many, but it's generally the story is because they're in Bhagavatam, they're about devotion. Ultimately, the success stories, the ones that surrender to Krishna, because that's the reality. We're the eternal servants of Krishna. And human form of life is meant to understand that, to realize that, serve Krishna. So therefore we have taken to this process of devotional service to set things right. This is the natural situation of the living entity. So we're serving Krishna. But obviously there's always room for improvement, right? We could do our service with love of Krishna, but that's far away. That's not an easy thing. That's love is Krishna's mercy. That's a siddhi. That's spiritual perfection. But still, nevertheless, we endeavor for that. But the point is that one should be eventually one has to become dependent on Krishna. Prahlad had no Shakti of his own. He was a tender young boy. He had no support, but he was dependent on Krishna. Therefore, he overcame Hiranyakashipu. So, if it is a natural constitution of the living entity to take shelter of Krishna, live in the shelter of Krishna. But do we do that? Are we feeling Krishna's shelter? This is a symptom of surrender. We're feeling Krishna's shelter now and feeling Krishna's protection. That we're still making so many arrangements for our eating and our sleeping and our defending. Later on in this, after this section is finished on Hiranyakashipu, then there's instructions for the civilized human beings. And there's a very radical statement. Even if a person is poor, he shouldn't endeavor for economic development. Hare Krishna. Revolutionary. Rather, he should be dependent on Krishna and detached, except in, this is karma, right? and then surrender to Krishna, rather than spend his time trying to improve economically, which actually you can't, materially speaking, you can't improve your condition. The whole purpose of our endeavor to improve things, which we're all trying to do, right? We're doing something now so we can benefit in the future. So most of our life we're doing something so we can do something else. So we're never actually in the present moment. We're never actually experiencing Krishna, because Krishna, or Krishna consciousness, is in the present moment. It's not something in the future, past. But we always seem to be doing something so we can do something else. Like we come here, we expect to get something, right? We come to hear the Bhagavatam class, we expect to benefit from it in the future. We get liberated. All our anathas will go away. We'll be happy. We go back to Godhead. We live happily ever after. Expecting something, right? Everyone is. There must be some motivation for your activity. So the motivation in the material world is you've got to get out of this suffering condition, because Krishna says it's a place of dukkha laya. But we're mostly trying to adjust it. This is material life. How to adjust the material energy so that you can be comfortable and then you can enjoy the joy life. This is material life. So that's Maya, illusion. You cannot. The living entity cannot enjoy in the material world. The experiences we are enjoying, right? When we touch something nice, soft, hard, cool, smooth, drink something small, it feels good, relief. The experience is real, but there's no actual substance in that, because the soul doesn't mix with matter. The soul never touches matter. But the illusion is, because we are identifying through this matter, we are identifying it first as this body, and then as everything else around us. So we're starting off in the illusion. And within this illusory, the experiencing good and bad. So therefore we make decisions. This is good, I like this, I don't like that. But it's nothing to do with the soul. Soul's business. What is the soul's business? To serve Krishna. We're meant for Krishna's pleasure. But we're trying to act for our own pleasure, trying to adjust the material energy so that we can be happy, and then we can enjoy it. So we be out of danger, and then we can enjoy it. So everyone's working on these two principles. It's actually difficult. Maya is so bewildering. It's actually difficult to just ignore it and just focus on Krishna. It's difficult because she's all pervading, she's all attractive, and we don't have an alternative. Until you establish your relationship with Krishna, at least you become self-realized, you have something better. Now we don't have any alternative. Unless you have a higher taste, how can you give up the lower taste? So it's difficult. We don't want to give it up. Right? That's our experience. Right? The senses go to the sense objects and the mind says, yeah. And then this intelligence or cerebral soul says, no, wait a minute. Is it favorable for Krishna consciousness or not? If it's favorable, take it. If it's unfavorable, no go. But still, you want to do it anyway. And then you have that battle, the internal battle between the mind and intelligence, and the intelligence doesn't always win. That's our experience, right? We say yes to Maya because I like it. Prabhupada said 3 words, I like it. He says if someone says I like it, there's nothing you can do about it. That's the last part of the story. So we're like that, we're conditioned, we're addicted to being a body and everything that goes with it. Addictions you can't give up overnight. Right? When you're addicted, even if you're diagnosed and you understand you're an addict, hasn't resolved the problem, just that addicted. So understanding you're not the body, the eternal servants of Krishna, hasn't resolved the problem. The problem remains, we're still attached to the material world. And how to get over it, it's difficult. As we know, we're practicing, we're sadhakas, we're practicing, it's difficult, we know it's difficult. Chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's difficult to concentrate on one mantra, right? You know how Vrindavan Prabhu and Satyananda Maharaj, they're giving seminars, they're into it, you know, they've got a lot of time and a lot of thought, a lot of energy. And they'll tell you, if you go to their workshop or seminar, just don't think of anything else, it's just Krishna's holy name, just Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama. It's about 5 seconds, 5 or 6 or 7 seconds. And he'll ask if anyone could actually chant one name complete without any, the mind working, analyzing, or anything like that. And if you put your hand up and say, yes, I did one, you get congratulated. Yeah, very good. One in 5 seconds. If you're successful, then yeah, very good. You're doing well. So that's what you're up against. The mind is so restless. So and what does it want to do? wants to control the material energy and enjoy it. What else is there? So we're here because of that mentality, envious of Krishna's position. He's the enjoyer, he's the controller. But we're taking his mentality. But we're not. So Prabhupada said, when you act as Prakriti, not as Purusha, he said that is devotion, or that is liberation, something like that. But that is the devotional platform. When you act as Prakriti, not the Purusha. When you understand that I am for Krishna's enjoyment. That's a fact of life. Krishna says God expands, is one. He expands himself into many. Why? For his enjoyment. So we're a part of Krishna, all of us. He's expanded us for his enjoyment, to increase his enjoyment. But we're not doing that. Otherwise, why are we in the material world? So those that have misuse the independence, then we're placed here for correction. But this correction is hard. It's a task. You need determination, you need tolerance, and you need... So Hiranyakashipu had a lot of good qualities like that. Therefore he's addressed as Sri Hiranyakashipu. Not for what he did materially, of course, but clarifies that statement. He's called Sri because he fortunately, by good fortune, he had a pure devotee as his son. The other Sri for a material progress is not in the configuration. What is the use of his success? Material universe, it's like a mustard seed in a bag of mustard seed. Material universe. And the whole creation is one breath of Mahavishnu. So what can you do significant in a mustard seed in one breath? So even if you become a Hiranyakashipu, that's from the spiritual viewpoint, that's all it is. You're a mustard seed for one breath. You become a big mustard seed for one breath of Vishnu, and then change. But the reality is, we are the eternal servants of Krishna. And you'll only be satisfied when we recognize that and act like that. So it's a practice. And then you can do all these, then we can, chant the holy name, we can realize, Krishna is name, but you have to develop these other qualities, etc. And that's coming from the mercy of devotees and knowledge. Otherwise, you can't understand what this material world is by yourself, how it works and who we are. It's not possible. You have to hear from scripture. The knowledge has to come from someone who knows from outside. Therefore, Krishna comes, gives the scripture, sends his devotees. Otherwise, it's impossible to figure out what is going on. We'll never figure out what's going on. That we're different from this material energy. And so therefore, because nobody has this knowledge in the material world, then the material dream of a happy future goes on. Right? Your governments, whoever they are, any government, promising in the future we'll eradicate misery, poverty, disease. This is what they say. Everyone, they're all after the same thing, comfort. And your scientists, you'll be in the future, you'll take a pill, you don't have to eat, your life will be very reduced, you can enjoy, you'll have a lot of free time. This is what they're propagating. So that's what we learned at school. And this is the whole ambience of the material world. You can do it. You can control and you can enjoy. Right? Just like the advertisements you see, they're all like that, right? You can do it. You get this, you'll be successful. You get out of the, get up in the high-rise greens, you'll be happy if you get a house, if you get an apartment like this, or you drive this, or you wear this kind of sari. Then you'll get the attention. This is what. Then you can do it. You can be happy. This is exactly what Maya is doing already. So then they're putting the further coating on, double coating. So the whole ambience of the material world is that you are the body, and the purpose of life is sense gratification. Is it not? What else is the purpose of life if you're the body? Everyone wants to be happy through the senses. The purpose of existence is sense gratification. That's what we're taught, and that's what we believe. But here, Bhagavatam says you shouldn't even endeavor, even if you're poor, you shouldn't endeavor for economic development. Because the ultimate thing we want is happiness. But where is happiness coming from? The remote cause is our punya, right? Our pious activities. That's where the actual happiness is coming from. And that is manifest, experienced through different mediums, through the senses. But the happiness experienced is a result of your pious activities. And the distress is a result of your impious activity. So you can't change that. Huh? Mama Maya, Krishna is my energy. It works under my direction. It doesn't work under your direction. It doesn't work under our direction. But we're thinking we can do it. We're thinking we can do it. Because the experience is real. The experience is real. When we lay down to sleep, when we wake in the morning, we feel refreshed. The experience is real. When we contact the senses and the sense objects, the experience is real. So therefore we have faith in it. And Krishna's promised something better. So where will you put your faith? And something that you actually experienced, you've had self-realization in sense gratification. It always works, more or less. You know the procedure. It's a fact. And then there's a promise of Krishna. Huh? There you go. You want to give up a tangible reality for a promise from Krishna. When he says, no, the condition is you give that up, then I'll give you but he doesn't say when. So then we say, okay, we'll give up. At least we'll stay away from the gross Raja Tamagu. Notice is sex intoxication, meat eating, gambling. We'll do that. We wear tilak and we'll chant Hare Krishna. But still, the desire doesn't go away. Right? Desire for sense gratification doesn't go away. So we restrict the senses. Krishna says, one day you restrict the senses, but still the desire is still there. And so until you actually get a higher taste, it's very difficult. Very difficult. It's just until there's a taste, then what have you got? You got your philosophy, you got your determination, you got your peer pressure, your culture, your society to help you, and that's it. But there's no taste in philosophy. There's no rasa in knowledge, knowing these things. Rasa is experienced in the mind, not in the intelligence. So from Prahlad's angle of vision, because he is on the spiritual platform, he's actually surrendered to Krishna. So from his vision, then his father is foolish, although he's the most successful person in the universe, human or Daitya. he is successful like that, but from Prahlad's angle of vision, but everyone's agreeing with Hiranyakashipu that he's actually the most successful. So therefore he has quite right. He's gotten very angry that who do you think you are talking like that? You think you're better than me at controlling senses? How dare you speak to him like that? He's the best. But we see who wins. But the odds were against Prahlad, right? 1,000,000 to 1. The odds were against him. He had no material security. His own father, who was the most powerful person, wanted to kill him. What could he do? But we see who became successful. Prahlad was successful, and the Lord personally appeared to save him. So the Lord will do that to his surrendered soul. When you surrender, then the Lord will show his mercy. His mercy means his Haladini Shakti, Samit potency, that will extend to us. That's love of God. But until there's surrender, he won't do that. Until there's affection and real surrender, he won't do that. He's there as a super soul. The super soul, there's not much. I don't know how much mercy there is in the super soul, because he's super soul. He permits. He's like a witness, a judge, but he's watching, and he'll help us fulfill our desires. Even the desires will take us to hell. It's him that fulfills them. He inspires the demigods to give the facility to do what we want to do, even if it's wrong. The external manifestation, the Guru, is completely opposite. He says, no, nonsense, stop it, don't do this, don't do that. But the super soul, he won't do that. He'll help you execute your desires according to your karma. But when there's affection there to Krishna, when there's you're doing with feeling, then your Istadeva takes over from the super soul. Then that's mercy. Otherwise, Prabhupada says, there's two ways of serving the Lord. One is according to the rules and regulations, right? He said it, and one is spontaneous, out of spontaneous affection. And he said, and if the worship is done in rules and regulations, it's doubtful whether the Lord's mercy is involved at all. Hare Krishna. Because Krishna is only interested in affection, right? He's not. What can we achieve in this material world? Even if you control your mind, so what? It's Krishna's interest in affection. So until that, Krishna's attracted by affection, so that has to be developed. You have to develop affection for Krishna. There's not surrender. The four kinds of people surrender to Krishna. Right? They all want something, except the wise man. He's coming because he's understood. I'm a part and parcel of God. I should surrender to God. So he's the best. He's the best. But still, is not coming for Krishna's pleasure per se. Shantaras. He's not coming to serve Krishna for Krishna's pleasure. He's coming because it's out of a sense of duty. So pure devotion service is very rare. Very rare to achieve that. Because for many reasons, Maya is very, very pervasive and persuasive. So we learn from these histories are there in the Bhagavatam, so we can learn what are the results that the different stories produce. Then we can make the right decision. Who was successful? So we follow their example. Who was unsuccessful? We don't follow their example. So this is for us. So we should hear this Bhagavatam regularly. Then all this, gradually these misgivings, doubts, it means confusion, or the attractions to Maya, they go away. Takes time. But regularly hearing, in the association of devotees, then all those misgivings will gradually go away. Then when we realize that we're the eternal servants of Krishna, that's all, there's nothing else to it. Anything outside of that is no meaning. No meaning. If something's not connected to Krishna, that's no meaning. So when you use everything in the service of Krishna, it has meaning. It's like this this temple is made of stones and bricks, but they have meaning because, you know, they're supporting the little tiles, they're supporting another bigger tile, a step, and that's supporting the altar, and that's supporting Krishna. So it says meaning. But outside in the hotel or the shop, that's just for sense gratification. So the same material things there have no meaning, no instinctive value. But here they have value, they have meaning. That's why the temple is so potent, the atmosphere in the temple. People come in, it's different. Because everything and everyone is being used to glorify Krishna. Everything, material energy is properly situated. Because essentially everything is coming from the spiritual. Now it's been proper utilization of the material energy. So same way, the body, the mind, the intelligence, the ahankara, they're Krishna's energies. So they should be utilized, connected with him. This is what we're doing. We're practicing the devotional service. This is how practice how to connect everything with Krishna. But then we gotta, and by doing it with Krishna is all attractive. So then eventually we're going to fall in love with him when we get purified. That's the purification is a byproduct. Then when you're pure, when you actually contact Krishna, then you can love him because he's all attractive. Like when you chant Hare Krishna, it's the name of Krishna that is actually purifying us. We're endeavoring, but that endeavoring is. But the fact is, we're chanting Krishna's name. That purifies us. We engage in devotional service. That is spiritual. That is reality in the material world. We are reality. The jiva is reality. And Krishna is reality. The holy name is reality. The deity is reality. So we connect everything with that. Then we get purified. If we connect ourselves to service, prasadam, bhagavatam, or whatever, devotee association, then that is purifying us. So our business is to stay engaged in these 9 devotional processes in the association of devotees, and automatically all those material desires will cease because one will become peaceful. And when you actually make up your mind to surrender to Krishna, you actually give your mind to Krishna. I've had enough. I'm surrendering to Krishna. And then that's another level. Then you have to work on that level, the higher level. But you'll find that as soon as you actually say no to material desires from the mind, from the heart, then you find all those things are easily available. All the things you work so hard you're trying to get, you're trying to attain, suddenly they become easily available. That's the mystery of renunciation. As soon as you don't want them, they're all available. Right? The Maya stands, when you become a beauty, Maya stands before you with folded hands, how can I serve you? It's a mystery. Everyone in the world is trying to get these things. When you give them up, when you've had enough, when you give them up, then they're all easily available. But you don't want them. Hare Krishna. So that time, then your pure devotional service can actually begin. Then your devotional service will be dynamic, because then it will be done with feeling. Because you're actually experiencing Krishna in his name, and you're experiencing yourself, the spiritual energy like that. So it begins from the it's really dynamic at the platform of liberation, self-realization. That's how Bhagavatam starts, right? It starts from, kicks out Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. It starts from that situation. So that's the position you'll come to by the practice in devotional service. All these things will come gradually, but as sincerely and as much as you want them to happen, doesn't that happen that much quicker, according to your desire. We came here by desire, we go back by desire. So according to your sincerity of desire, then Krishna will reciprocate. As you surrender unto me, Krishna says, I will reciprocate accordingly. But we have to have knowledge of what's going on and what we should do, what our mentality should do, otherwise we won't be able to understand ourselves. But when we keep on hearing these stories and then we realize it's a futile waste of time, the material endeavor doesn't produce anything. material endeavor produces rebirth, which is a bad deal. So when are we going to give it up? Today or tomorrow? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, he said the big question to ask is about your relationship with Krishna and your relationship with Maya is, what am I going to do about it? Once you understand what Maya is and what our relationship with Maya, and what Krishna is and what our, theoretically that is, then you make a decision. What do you want to do? So when will you make that decision? And now is the only time you can do it. But why do we keep delaying? Why do we put it off? Today or tomorrow, you have to do it. But why delay? Because we got some other priorities, obviously. That's why we're not doing it. So we've all got our own different priorities, things we have, so important things we have to do. That we can't commit to make that kind of commitment. But we should understand, this is the purpose of life is self-realization, not anything else. It's to serve Krishna. And you serve Krishna, then you don't have to take birth again. You go back to that place where you can serve Krishna permanently. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Braja Bhaktavinda ki jai, Taigo Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you. I don't know what the time is. Is there any comment?
His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu ki!
Yeah.